Scarecrows may not move, but they can give you nightmares, and this movie proves it. The darkness of night reveals a deserted camp, broken locks, childhood photos, and blood, all set to tense music. As the movie ends, we see Maya and Robert repairing the yard when Maya asks him about the scarecrow that's wandering around in the dark. Obviously, it was brought to them by their friend Margot, as it's the mascot of an incident that happened 2 years ago. But then Robert says something that really upsets Maya. The farm was the site of several murders, and no one knows who did them. Maya is angry because she wasn't told about this before she started working there. Robert makes matters worse by saying that he doesn't know who the killer is, and that the killer may still be at large. They have met the farm's owners, Tina and Mary, only once, and the murder victim was Tina's own daughter. Robert tries to calm Maya down by telling her that it all happened a long time ago, but she is still scared. Matters get worse when they discover that there is no cell signal in the area. Tensions between Robert and Maya continue to mount as they have a long, passionate conversation, but eventually, they make up and find some comfort in each other. As Robert turns away to turn on the lights, disaster strikes. Suddenly, a mysterious man dressed in leather grabs him. Maya calls out to him, but there is no response. Concerned for Robert's safety, she bravely sets out to find him, but what she finds will haunt her for the rest of her life. As she approaches, she sees the horrifying form of a scarecrow covered in blood, and she lets out a terrifying scream. She tries to escape, but in the chaos, she stumbles over Robert's lifeless body. Just when she thinks things can't get any worse, the Scarecrow Man appears, brandishing his cane as a weapon. Without hesitation, he beats Maya to death. The next morning, Mary is in her camper van in the middle of the woods. Meanwhile, 3 women, Harriet, Lily, and Cindy, arrive at the farm and reveal that they haven't heard from Maya and Robert since the previous night. In addition, another scarecrow is tied to the wall, and Harriet tells the 2 people who put it there, Simon and Margot, to remove it before her mother sees it. She insists on removing the scarecrow, forcing the other 2 to immediately take it down. Referring to the murders that took place here 2 years ago, Harriet says that the scarecrow is just a bad omen. In the camper van, Mary comforts Tina, who is looking lovingly at a photo of her dead daughter and husband. It is revealed that she had tried 2 priests and 3 exorcists to check if the evil spirits were gone from their home, and after the checks, she did not feel any evil. Since Robert and Maya are still missing, Tina wonders if they found out about the incident in the fields and fled. Still, Tina insists that the place must be cleaned up, and Mary gets annoyed before giving her 2 weeks. Later, Margot and Simon place the scarecrow in another empty caravan instead of destroying it as Harriet asked. Outside, Harriet gathers all the workers, including a new girl named Beth, and announces that they will reopen the camp and make Amityville Farm the best glamping place in the whole country. After getting promising signs from the team, Harriet leaves. She heads home, but is suddenly approached by her boyfriend Dylan. She seems more nervous than usual and nearly stabs Dylan with a knife she has. Dylan picks up on her nervous nature, and she opens up about how nervous she is about the camp opening. Dylan agrees and says it shouldn't have opened so soon after what happened. Harriet is still recovering from that night, and rightfully so. Dylan, always conscientious, listens to her concerns and calms her down. The scene changes, and all the other workers are warming themselves by the fire in the cool night breeze. Margot starts gossiping about what happened 2 years ago. The Amityville house claims that the brother shot their whole family because he heard voices in their heads. Then the locals burned the house down because anyone who went there heard voices saying, kill them all. Then a children's summer camp opened. A man named Lester, who worked at the place, was a favorite of all the kids, but one summer all these kids disappeared one by one. They were found dead in the cornfields. It turns out Lester did it. He was in contact with the evil that came out of the earth for too long, and he heard voices in his head telling him he had to make a human sacrifice. The children's summer camp never opened again until about 2 years ago. A family moved in. They wanted to make the house their own again and expand, but when the house in Amityville burned down, the spirits were trapped inside. They would take refuge in anyone or anything that was nearby. So this family that moved here was murdered. They were terrorized, tortured, and ripped apart like pigs lined up at a slaughterhouse. But there were survivors who killed the killer and vowed never to tell the story. According to the first film, the survivors were Mary and Tina, who killed Lester, the killer who came back to finish what he started. But earlier in this film, Tina said they never found Lester's body. And right now, Margot gossips that he's still roaming the place looking for new victims. The story baffles Simon, but Beth quickly pulls him away. The other three finish a bottle of wine and the scene cuts to their tent. Tensions rise, and Beth accuses Simon of having his eyes on another girl. A heated argument ensues. Beth goes to take a shower, but soon hears strange and unsettling noises. We see the Scarecrow's shadow looming ominously in the background. Simon hears the commotion and goes to investigate. Inside the shower, Beth thinks Simon is pranking her, but she is greatly mistaken. She opens the curtains and comes face to face with the bloodthirsty Scarecrow. He stabs her repeatedly, killing her in a brutal and gruesome manner. Simon suffers the same fate, but not before suffering the horror of having one of his eyes gouged out. The next morning comes. Lily and Beth are decorating the yard when they discuss the disappearances of the other workers and find some old newspapers in old carts. The newspapers reflect the story Margot told her last night, which is from 1981. Lily talks to Tina about it, and Tina assures her that they have taken every possible step to ensure everyone's safety. On the other side, Harriet goes to wake Simon and Beth, but finds their tent empty. Tina and Mary say they are both gone, but they know something isn't right. Tina thinks it's them, not the land, that are cursed. Later, Harriet tells Dylan about her family's history with the place. At the same time, Margot suggests that Lily and Beth move into a shed that burned down years ago. Encouraged by what Tina told them not to do, they do so that night. Although Lily backs out, they find the shed unlocked, and their reckless adventure begins. Meanwhile, Harriet tells Dylan that she is leaving the place with him and asks for his help to tell her mother, Mary, and Aunt Tina. As she convinces Tina, Lily arrives and tells the two about Margot and Cindy being in the shed. The three immediately leave for the shed. Tensions rise in the shed as the Scarecrow grabs Cindy and struggles to strangle her. Margot runs outside to get help and tells Tina that the Scarecrow has killed Cindy. Both Tina and Mary have a horrible feeling. They thought they had killed Lester, but he had returned, and he had already killed 5 of their employees. Harriet also has a horrible feeling. She goes to Dylan's caravan, but he is not there, and there is blood on the walls. This sends Harriet into a rage and Tina has to calm her down. Tina demands that everyone except herself and Mary leave. The sisters' lives are tied to this place, but the other 3 girls' fight is not. Mary and Tina will end it again, just like they did last time. An emotional Harriet, Margot, and Lily leave, but not before Tina promises that they will find Dylan. The sisters cautiously enter the shed and are startled by a loud noise. They hide behind a box and see a Scarecrow dragging an unconscious Dylan and tying him to a surface. He spots them, smashes Mary's head against the box and knocks her unconscious. Tina screams in anger and picks up a brick and prepares to attack. But just as she is about to attack, the Scarecrow pounces on her and knocks her unconscious too. Meanwhile, Margot, Harriet and Lily get into a car, and Harriet calls the police to report her friend's murders. The police officer thinks she's joking, but she convinces him to send someone to the scene. Harriet decides to go back to rescue her mother and aunt. The other 2 are scared. Lily wants to wait for the police, but Harriet doesn't want to leave her alone. Eventually, the 3 return. Harriet goes alone from the back of the shed, while Lily and Margot go from the front. However, a frightened Margot runs off, leaving Lily alone. At the back of the shed, Harriet finds Tina and Mary unconscious. She tries hard to wake them up and senses something ominous behind them. At the same time, Margot takes refuge in a nearby caravan, where she encounters the Scarecrow. He brutally murders him and removes his heart, leaving it on the ground and then flees. Lily tries to escape in the car, but as she starts the engine, she discovers her friend's lifeless body in the back seat. Meanwhile, Lester takes advantage of her distraction to stab her in the neck. Back in the shed, the sisters regain consciousness, and Lester finds Harriet. Tina manages to break free from her shackles and frees Mary. But before she can finish, she hears Harriet's screams from outside. Without hesitation, Tina packs her arms and runs outside to find the Scarecrow on top of Harriet. Tina quickly stabs the Scarecrow in the back, knocking him to the ground. But when Harriet unmasks him, the truth is revealed: it was Dylan. He confesses that he killed all her friends and defends his actions with an absurd monologue. The sisters question Dylan for his betrayal, and Harriet breaks down in tears. Just when Tina thinks it's all over, Dylan drops a big bombshell by revealing that he's Lester's grandson. He could feel his grandfather the night the sisters burned him alive. He felt Lester's pain, his suffering, his hurt, his screams, and his hate, and everything that was inside of him came out and sought out Dylan. That's when the voices started. At first they were soft, like whispers, but day by day they grew louder, and Dylan realized what he had to do. As the truth of Dylan's act dawned on Harriet, she couldn't comprehend what had happened. Tina, aware of Dylan's dangerous behavior, quickly takes Harriet inside to rescue Mary and escape. Unfortunately, Dylan catches up with her and stabs Tina. Mary retaliates by hitting him with a bat and carrying the injured Tina outside. In a desperate attempt to stop Dylan, Harriet sets the shed on fire. Police sirens sound in the background, and Dylan laughs maniacally as he watches the shed burn. The women watch helplessly. The scene then moves forward in time, where Harriet is now pregnant. She speaks to her mother, expressing her desire to stay in Amityville and clear her identity, and that they will be a good family once Tina recovers. However, the film could not have had a happier ending. Harriet hears sinister whispers of "kill them" that leave her numb with fear. As the whispers fade, her eyes widen with terror, and the film ends with an eerie silence and a cloud of fear on her face.